Jill and Stacy Show.
All right, good evening and welcome. Thank you all for coming. We got a great presentation put on by our panel here. My name is Philip Bridger. I'm the Public Information Officer here at the Sheriff's Office. We're proud to put this on. This is an important topic, and we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to ask questions. I will turn it over to Sergeant Anthony Thigi.
All right, so my name, as Major Ridgel mentioned, is Sergeant Anthony Thigi. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. This was really the brainchild of one of our electronic crimes guys and one of our personal crimes detectives. So I'll give them all the respect that they deserve. However, this really is geared towards you guys, and you guys are really the reason why we're doing this. So I do want to thank all of you for coming out. We expected 30, 40, maybe 50 people. We closed down the reservations at 159. So I know it's a little scarce in here. That's also why we're doing the Facebook Live. The panel that you're going to hear from today is a wide range of those that we work closely with in our criminal investigative unit. So within our criminal investigative unit, we have a major and 2 sergeants. We do have a 3rd sergeant in the electronic crimes unit. He was one of the brainchildren of this. But you're going to hear from Detectives Brittany Day, Detective Justine Bates, and Detective Marcus Harlow. All 3 of them are names that you may see if it comes to anything that has to do with sex abuse, child abuse, crimes against children in any way. The next 2 people you'll hear from are Sergeant Drew Christian and Detective Tony Vonderhaar. They are by far the smartest people I've ever met. It's a little crazy to hear them talk sometimes. So good luck keeping up with them. They are our 2 of our 3 electronic crimes unit detectives. So anytime anybody brings a phone in, a computer in, anything electronic to be searched, they are the ones that, they work their magic. I don't even pretend to know what they're talking about when they tell me what they're doing. And then Sergeant Drew Christian also has a little yellow friend running around. His name is Mozart. He is our electronics detection dog, and Sergeant Christian will introduce him when he presents. We also have Assistant Commonwealth Sierra Merida here. Her boss is also in the back, but chose to view and not present today. Sierra is one of the backbones of the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, and she presents a lot of these cases when it comes to, again, sex abuse, crimes against children, physical abuse, things like that. And then the newest members of the Boone County Sheriff's Department, the Boone County Fiscal Court, and they are detailed in the Sheriff's Department, we do have 3 police social workers. We are still getting our feet wet along with them. They come from a wide range of backgrounds, from mental health court, drug court, probation, parole, and the Cabinet for Health and Family Services. So you're going to hear a lot of different viewpoints, but just know that if a case gets brought into our office or a case gets reported to us, this is a collective effort, and these are just some of the faces and some of the names that you may hear. So with that, I will turn it over to Sergeant Drew Christian.
How's everybody doing? Thank you for coming. This is really exciting for us. This is our first time ever hosting something like this, but obviously we see a need for it. I've been in electronic crimes now for 3 years. My partner, Detective Vonderhaar, has been in since 2011, so we're very lucky that we're able to do this job, and we continue to learn about it. I say that to say this, we still to this day don't know everything, but we do the best that we can to keep up with it. So our goal tonight is as we say here, we're going to focus on what applications can be dangerous for your children. Some of them you might notice just by the logo, but not really know what they are on the phone. Their internet use, how to use your parental controls, what you should be looking for as a parent, whether it's grooming and the mental health effects that are associated with certain social media use. There's going to be multiple case studies that we have experienced specifically here at the Sheriff's Office, and at the end we're going to have a question and answer time where we'll have you come up and we'll answer the questions to the best of our ability. So, most of you know these applications. Is there any of them up here that you've never seen before? A lot of people don't know this one, right? Everybody thinks that's just a calculator, but did you know that the calculator can also be another downloaded application where you can store data that's secure, and only the person who downloads it knows the right 3 plus 3 equals 6 to get into that file. So if you or your children have 2 calculator apps on their phone or their tablet, that could be a clue that they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing. All the other ones we've seen before, Snapchat, Kik, Telegram, even Roblox. 15 apps that you should know about. There's more than 15 out there. We just want to give you a chance to look at the most important ones, the one that we see more frequently than not. These are some of the more dangerous ones that we see. If these are on your children's phones, you need to remove them because they can be very dangerous. Even more applications than what was previously there that we're seeing, anywhere from cell phones on the children have that are 8 years old up to 16, 17 years old. There shouldn't be a 6-year-old that has a Tinder app. There's some risky applications for both adults and children. This isn't just for children, preteens, and teens. There's some applications here that can be dangerous for you as well. Sextortion and extortion can be done in multiple ways, so focus on these applications, and we'll make this available to you at the end. If you have some of these, just make sure you're putting the right safeguards in place. So I'm going to introduce Detective Day. She's got a case study for you, and she's going to discuss grooming.
Detective Brittany Day. I specialize in personal crimes here at the Sheriff's Office. So like Sergeant Thiegy mentioned earlier, all of your rapes, sexual assaults, child pornography, things of that nature. I'm going to start off by what is grooming. This is a common term, but there's a lot of people who have not heard that term before. And the best way I can describe it to you is it's simply an action or behaviors that someone is using to try and establish that emotional connection with somebody, or an individual or a family as a whole. And the reason they're establishing that emotional connection is to try and lessen their inhibitions to, I guess, catch on to what they're trying to do, their intentions, or what they're actually already doing, and you guys just aren't realizing it, or the individual isn't realizing it. Grooming can look like in a lot of different forms. It can be compliments. It could be receiving gifts from this person. It could be simply just like constant communication, like good morning, or I love you, and or inappropriate talk. It could be even as far as like requesting nudes. So it comes in a lot of different forms, and it's a constant. A lot of times it's a constant thing just to get that individual or that family comfortable. So what they're doing and what their intentions are is okay, or they try and slide it under the rug type thing. 2 specific cases. The first one involves a 33-year-old male from Toledo, Ohio, and a 12-year-old female from Burlington, Kentucky. So how this case, we'll start with how it was reported to me. The mother of this 12-year-old child got in contact with the sheriff's office because she had located some inappropriate messages on her daughter's cell phone, text messages. She kept scrolling through these messages, saw the I love yous, send me nudes, and along with this, there was a lot of sent and then unsent messages, and we can get into that in a little bit. So alarming for a 12-year-old daughter saying I love you to this person. She has no clue who it is, and I did see that this person said that they lived in Toledo, Ohio. Reported it to us. Her daughter was forensically interviewed and said that she had met this person on TikTok and Instagram as their initial communications. And through getting to know this person, he kept just hounding her on, you need to get Snapchat. We need to do Snapchat. That way when we send our messages, it'll disappear. No one will be able to know what we're talking about or sending. Mom, that was one strict rule that she had in her home, was absolutely no Snapchat whatsoever. So she told him, I can't have Snapchat. My mom monitors my phone. I can't do that. So he settled for texting. Through text, he groomed her. He told her how beautiful she was, sending her pictures back and forth of both of them, telling her that he loved her, he would never disappear, would never leave her, he was always there for her. Good morning, good night, that sort of thing, and they talked all day long. Additionally, because they talked all the day long, they found out a lot of information about each other. He had preyed upon this child. She was in a vulnerable situation to where her parents were actually going through a separation. Her mom had just moved out of the house, and she decided to go live with her mom instead of her father. And it was just a very difficult home life for her, and she felt lost, sad, all the emotions that you can imagine a juvenile would feel with the separation of her parents. And this was the one person who reached out to her and cared for her during this tough time where she was in limbo between mom and dad and feeling all the pressure of does dad hate me because I'm moving in with mom, or what's going on with my parents. There was also financial stress there as well, so she stopped asking for not even unnecessary things like necessity things, just because she didn't want to put that added stress on her family. So all of that building up also affected her school, also affected her friendships, and this was the one person that she could rely on, and he knew that. She spilled everything to him, and he knew that he had her. He was the one person that she could count on in the early morning all the way till she went to bed. And they fell asleep several times, on FaceTime with each other. So she loved this person, and she believed this person. He portrayed himself to be a 17-year-old kid in high school in Toledo, Ohio, had a job, had friends, said that he wanted to get her pregnant. He kept requesting nudes from her, and she kept telling him, no, I'm not comfortable with that. So again, he just keeps grooming, and he keeps, making her more comfortable around him and say, that's okay, I don't want to pressure you into anything. I don't want you to do anything you don't want to do, and just know that I love you. He ends up sending her gifts. On her birthday, which she told him that she was 13 years old, he sent her a $100 Amazon gift card. Later on, and during this time, there's plenty of talk about, I could be catfish, this promise me you're 17, I don't want to be dating a pedophile, things of that nature. All of that conversation has been talked about. And she believed him, and he would send photos of himself, but not his face. He sent photos of his arm holding onto the treadmill at the gym, or sent photos of his lap with his dog lying on his lap on the couch. So she believed he was real. Never FaceTime, they never talked on the phone. It was all through text message. And he got her comfortable enough to the point where she did end up sending new photos of herself to him. And the way they got around this, that mom, if she was just simply scrolling through the phone, they would send the photos, and then they would unsend those photos. And the way that we located that is just date and time stamps. We have these nude photos in her photo library, date and time stamp, and then we have the messages, date and time stamp commenting on these photos that she sent, and making sure he would make sure that she felt good about herself in these photos that she sent. And he would do the same in return, send photos of himself nude. So eventually, when mom, saw this alarming behavior, brought it to the police, she said, this is who I'm told this is, but now I'm questioning reality and my mom, and I feel like I'm losing everything again. And come to find out, he was a 33-year-old man in Toledo, Ohio. And we were able to execute a search warrant and obtain his phone, found those same messages and pictures on his phone, and he was sentenced, and he is, I believe, serving 5 years. He's a lifetime registered sex offender, and there's an IPO against him. So, another case it's involving a 26-year-old man and a 14-year-old girl, both from Hebron, Kentucky. Again, very similar situation. This child, she grew up in a broken family. Her dad lives in a different state. I believe it's in North Carolina. Mom lives here in Kentucky. Always had to move from house to house depending on when and if her mother had a job and the monetary funds to pay for this housing. They were living in a home and there was a house fire, which caused them not to be able to live in this home anymore, so they had to relocate. While in the process of, not having a home, not having stable family life, bouncing around from school to school because she's having to move to a different house, not knowing if she's going to be fed, not knowing if she'll have any clothes or clean clothes or clothes the next day for school that kids aren't going to make fun of her for showing up in the same thing. All of these things are going through this 14-year-old girl's mind. And they end up having to move because their house burnt down. And Mom ended up moving while in the process of looking for a home, stay with Grandma. Grandma would not allow the daughter, her granddaughter, to live in the house with her. So granddaughter, the victim here, the 14-year-old child, she ended up staying with a random female adult who they met maybe a week or two prior, ended up staying with her in Hebron, Kentucky, when Mom was not there. While staying at this adult's house, she met this 26-year-old male who was also living in that same community. Again, kind of the same situation as the first case that I just presented. She was in a vulnerable state. She was homeless, didn't have any friends or family around her to help her through whatever difficulty she was going through. And as you guys can imagine, there was several. And all she wanted was that one stable person to love her and to take care of her and to always be there and show up for her. And she found that. A 26-year-old man who groomed her, made her feel good, made her feel loved and appreciated, told her, I'm not going anywhere, I love you, we will get through everything together. Told her, again, same thing in the morning, good morning babe, I love you, good night, FaceTime each other all the time. This male was, in fact, who he said he was, not like the first one. And he knew it was wrong. He knew that a 26-year-old man cannot have sexual relations with a 14-year-old female child. But he did it. He was able to build that emotional connection with her and make her feel comfortable, make her feel loved, and convince her to do anything and everything that he wanted. He wanted to impregnate her. They wanted to run away together. They did drugs together. They drank together. They partied together. He provided her with all of these things and all the means to do that. Several messages even talk about how, he loves her so much and he wants her to have his babies, and he knows he can't tell anyone right now because of the age difference. And he knew that she was underage. What he didn't think would happen is that we'd find the videos of all these sexual relations that happened. He recorded a lot of their sexual relations that he had in both Boone and Kenton County. We came across the video in Kenton County, and he was actually just prosecuted, and he is now serving a 31-year sentence, and he is going to be a lifetime registered sex offender. And in Boone County, there were more videos, again, sexual relations. and he is serving 10 years consecutive with Kenton, and he, again, is a lifetime registered sex offender. And let me back up a little, because the funny thing about this, it's not funny, but these cases just go to show that there are predators out there, and either they don't care, or they just are in disbelief that they're not going to get caught, and then when they do, they know they do. This specific individual, once he knew he was in trouble, he admitted to one sexual encounter with this individual with me. Once he knew he was in trouble, he actually bought a one-way ticket from Columbus to Togo, which is located in West Africa. He had a layover in Virginia. I sent a BOLO out, which is, it's be on the lookout, or an ETL, attempt to locate. I sent a BOLO out to all the airports. That night, he was arrested in Virginia at his layover at the gate, getting ready to board the Ethiopian Airlines. So these people know what they're doing. They know what they're doing is wrong, and again, they don't care, or they don't think they're going to be caught, and they prey upon these 12, 13, 14-year-old children. And it can happen to anyone and everyone. Just like with the first case, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, texting, all of those things just allow that invitation for unknown adults, individuals, to prey upon these children. So.
All right, so kind of the cases that we've talked about so far is cases where the suspect has some sort of want for that child. There's a relationship that they're looking for. There's something they're trying to get from the victim themselves. There's also a different side of this where the child, they are the victim of a crime, but they're also a means to an end. They are, when it comes to this side of this, lots of times these kids are being used to sextort money from them, or to shame them, or do things along those lines. So with the case that I'm going to discuss, I'm going to have to be a little bit vague about it. It's still an ongoing case, so I can't be super involved as to what's going on with the investigation. But we were made aware of an individual who had tried to take their life, and learning later on, a few weeks later, it was due to a conversation that they had online. This was someone who was very involved in Discord, Telegram, these online virtual worlds, which are kind of really hard to explain, but they can be an innocent thing, but they can also end up being a not innocent thing very, very fast. This individual had met someone online, they had started to date them online, and then their online relationship went south. It turned into lots of hateful messages back and forth, threats back and forth. This online relationship with this person that they had never met just turned really nasty, really, really quick. And about roughly 6 months later, this person, they got a message through an app just trying to chat. This is kind of something that they do all the time. They're just chatting with people that they don't know constantly. This is a user, it was a username that they didn't know. It was someone who had just connected with them on this app and basically start to dox them in a sense. They started stating, I'm going to call all of your friends' work, I'm going to send law enforcement to your house, we're going to SWAT you. I'm going to send out your nudes that I found from this other person. And basically force this person over a period of 12 hours or so. They were stating, you need to cut yourself and send me a photo of you cutting yourself. That will suffice. That will, get me whatever it is that I'm going for. And eventually, throughout the evening, convince this individual to attempt to take their own life. Thankfully, that they are fine now. They were in the hospital for about a week, but thankfully, this young person is okay, and it didn't end up as badly as it could have. But the fact of the matter when it comes to this stuff, and like a lot of what, I'm going to grab my phone. I've also got some notes, just so I don't forget everything I wanted to say. Lots of times the online world can be a good thing, and cell phones can be a good thing. I love the fact that my son has a phone, because then I can know where he's at constantly, and I love that. But it's also terrifying, because unless I am using the apps that we're going to talk about here in a bit, and I monitor that phone, he can get into anything. He can talk to anybody all around the world, and I won't know anything about it, which is really scary. And oftentimes, these kids don't realize what is actually going on, because their minds are not able to understand that this online world is not the real world. So if something that's going on online and they're afraid to talk to their parents about it, they're afraid to talk to their friends or whoever about it, it's because their brains can't comprehend that it's really not the end of their life, the end of their world. And so it's on us as moms and dads to kind of explain that stuff, and also put kind of some of the apps and things in place where we can keep them away from some really scary stuff that's going on online. The other side of this is there are groups out there, and this is all stuff that you can find online too, so I'm not going to delve into it really deeply, but there are groups out there who solely want to extort our kids for money, because they have some sick, distorted joy of seeing someone else in pain. There are groups out there who are solely trying to hunt down our kids to do this stuff. This 764 group that's up there is an extremist group that you can read about online. They basically, all they do is try to use innocent apps like Minecraft or what's the other one? Roblox, yeah. And start to chat with kids, start to make relationships with them, say that they're the same age, start to become online friends, and then the next thing, your kid is being, they get talked into sending a nude or doing something like that, and then bam, this person is trying to get them to send them money or gift cards, or go so far as, just like the other case that I already explained, you need to try and take your own life, or let me see you in pain, because that's going to fix this, and then I'm not going to send out this nude. I'm not going to embarrass you to your parents or your family or your friends or whatever it may be. And that's their sole focus in life. I'm not sure what started these things, or what started these groups, and what has gotten folks so focused on this distorted world of, I can watch someone harm themselves and it's not real. But this stuff is I can easily get to this stuff on my phone, and someone can attack me or attack my kids simply through this thing, which is terrifying. And as a dad, most of us have kids, not all of us, but most of us have kids, and we deal with the cases like this. I mean, this is what we do day in and day out. And the reason that we work these cases is because we care so much about kids and want them to not have to go through this stuff, because we don't want our kids to go through this stuff. But we also, in our line of work, it's very hard for us to get out and stop it on the forefront. We have to react after something happens, which is why we want to do stuff like this, to let you all know about these apps, to let you all know how to stop it, and also help you all see a small glimpse of the stuff that we see, so we can all, as a group, be able to understand how to fight this and stop it. One of the smaller things that if your child ever gets involved in something like this, and they do end up sending nudes out, if you want to take a photo of that website that's down on the bottom there, it is a website, and there's 2 of them on there that you can take that nude, take that photo, it sends it to this site, which is a lockdown site. It's not going to go anywhere else. But that photo itself at that point, the online universe, in a sense, gets scanned for that photo, and it'll take that photo off. So no matter if it's in Snapchat or if it's on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Telegram, wherever, whatever data that's in that photo, which I'm not smart enough to understand, but some of these guys are, it in a sense will be able to scan the online world to take that photo down. So that's something, if any of your kids or you know of someone who has experienced something like that, who's trying to navigate this with their child, that is a fantastic resource to be able to make sure that it is gone and that child never has to worry about it again. Now I'm going to give it over to Detective Von Grahar.
I've been with the Boone County Sheriff's Office Police Department for about 32 years. Like it was mentioned, I started doing electronic crimes in 2011. Thoroughly enjoy it. And some of the stuff I'm going to throw at you is up here. So what is ECU? The Electronic Crimes Unit. Everybody knows what a crime scene unit does, basically. You know, they'll go to a place, they'll take pictures, they'll take measurements, they'll collect DNA, fingerprints. ECU would kind of do the same thing, except with the digital data in the digital world. So anything that has data on it or storage on it, whether it be a cell phone, laptop, tablet, your smartwatch, it could even be your refrigerator, if you have a smart refrigerator. We're going to try to get that data, acquire that data, authenticate the data, analyze it, and then present it out to the case detectives or the road deputies, hopefully in a format that they can understand, and help get them the evidence they need to put their pieces of the case together. That's kind of what we do in ECU. Who is this man? That is Ryan McGill. He cannot be here tonight, but he is the newest member of ECU. He just completed his basic 5-week course down at the National Computer Forensic Institute that's put on by the Secret Service. It's in Hoover, Alabama. And the Secret Service, because we are on their task force, we get to go to this training for free. They pay for our flight, our hotel, our per diem, and then whatever class that we are taking, we get the hardware and software for whatever it is. So he came back with like $20,000 to $30,000 worth of equipment, hardware and software. Because what we do, as Major Wilson likes to remind us, we are very expensive dates. But to do what we do, that's just we got to pay the programmers, right? Because they're not going to work for free. What is 1.8 to 2.6 million? Does anybody want to take a guess? How many apps there are? Is that what you read? Is that?
Number of electronic crimes you commit.
Oh God. Yes, it feels like that sometimes. That is not the number of crimes, but that is the number of applications that you can find either on the Google Play Store or on the Apple Store. I mean, just think about that. I mean, that blows my mind. I mean, Sergeant Christian put up there the most common apps we're trying to see, but then you come across these apps, 1.8 to 2.6 million applications. Who the heck needs all of that for a phone or a tablet or whatever? But that's what it is. That's kind of what we're up against, right? It's always a chase. It's always a race. Somebody will make something. We're trying to figure it out. We get the handle on it, then they do something more. What's the difference between a car, an app, or a cell phone, tablet? We'll answer that later. What do apps collect and have access to? We'll talk about that in the next slide. TikTok. How many people here use TikTok? Oh, okay, that's more, yeah. Do you know that you can communicate on TikTok? It's a text messaging app also. So besides all the stuff that TikTok collects and sends over to China, what we have been seeing is whoever it is, victims, suspects, they'll be on one messaging app, typically your normal text messaging app that's pre-installed on your phone. Hey, switch over to TikTok. And then they start communicating on TikTok. And that's not good for us because the way our software works, we can get links, we can get remains from TikTok, but we don't get the message content from TikTok. So if you're a suspect, please don't do that. I just gave away something, right? But that is part of the challenges that we are also facing. So if your kids are on TikTok, or Likey is kind of like a kid version of TikTok to a degree. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's necessarily geared towards kids, but we usually see younger children using Likey, the video messaging app. Those are messaging apps. Pretty much any app that you download, you can communicate message with somebody, whether you have a cell phone plan or not. As long as you have access to the internet, whether it's free public Wi-Fi at the McDonald's or library, your kids can get on there and use it as a cell phone. They can message, they can do all of that stuff. What about artificial intelligence? We'll talk about our great little horses next slide. And what did the grass feel when it woke up for winter? We'll answer that at the last, if anybody wants to start thinking about it now. All right. This is Mozart, the dog that's running around. I'm not going to steal all of Sergeant Christian's thunder. Mozart is our electronic sniffing dog. He's also supposed to be a therapy dog. So any device that has storage on it, it has a chemical that is used with it, and that's what they train the dog to sniff. So just like with drugs, I have hidden electronic devices for Mozart and Sergeant Christian, and I've told him, I said, hey, if Mozart finds this, I'm going to be mildly impressed. I have been mildly impressed. I mean, it's amazing what the dog can sniff out and find, and he has found stuff that we would not have found. Because if you think about a micro SD card, how big that is, I mean, you can hide that anywhere, right? Mozart has found stuff like that. The most therapy I ever get from Mozart is this. When I eat lunch at my desk, that's what I get. And when I'm done, he walks away. No pet, no lick, no hug, no kiss. Okay. So I do want to, I mean, we've worked so many different cases. This one kind of sticks out with me because as a parent, you guys are the front lines, right? You are the front line guys to help protect your kids. So a couple years ago in the summertime, the Boone County Sheriff's Office received a phone call that a young girl was streaming video of herself nude, doing dances and poses and that kind of thing. And they had the exact address of where this was happening at. So it was 10, 11 o'clock at night, midnight. We went there to the residence, woke mom and dad up, explained to them what was going on. Had the daughter, she's about 9 years old. We got her phone, got dad. They both agreed to come to the sheriff's office to talk to us to see what was going on, why it was happening. So while they are being interviewed by the case detective, I went through and did a triage of the 9-year-old's phone. And she was using the Line application. Has anybody ever heard of this application? Really? Okay. It's just another video messaging streaming app. I mean, there's a lot of them out there. And one of the things that if you look at as far as the app functionality, and hopefully things have gotten a lot better. Google, Apple, they try to make us secure as they can to a degree, right? So whenever you install something, the first time you use it, hopefully you start seeing notifications. Well, this wants to use your location. Are you going to allow that? This wants to use your phone, your camera. Are you going to allow that? Well, this location, precise location. That's how we knew exactly, or the people that saw this knew where this was happening. It also wants access to your physical address of your contacts. Now think about that for just a minute. This 9-year-old girl downloads this app, does what she's doing. Not only does it broadcast out exactly where she lives at, but now probably just because she's 9 years old, just kept clicking yeah, and now all the contacts that are stored in her phone, the physical address now is being shared with the app developers. User content, emails or text messages, photos or videos, audio data. Why does a video messaging app need to have access to my emails? That blows my mind. My search history, why does it need that? And this is what I love too, other data. Anybody want to take a stab at what other data is? Because I don't know. But that's just a catch-all for them to put in there. And then the third-party advertising, the same thing. Precise location, contact, this is phone number, at least it's not the physical address, my browsing history, and other usage data. Now this isn't even the app developer. This is what this company is selling to third-party people in order for them to make money, because we are the product, right? Why is Line application free? Because we're the product. Why is Google free? We're the product. They have to make their money some way, so it's from us, right? So as I'm going through and looking through her phone, doing the triage on it, I can see from people all over the world, literally all over the world, Eastern Europe, Africa, here in the States, communicating with this 9-year-old girl, telling her, hey, do this, hey, turn this way, all kinds of stuff that would just make you fall over. And again, they know exactly where she lives at. So once the interview was done with Dad and daughter, I told Dad what I found, and basically got the excuse of, yeah, I'm not very good with cell phones, I'm not that tech savvy, we gave her a phone because we want to get in touch with her. Well, what about a flip phone from Walmart, So I said, listen, I don't want to be over dramatic here. I said, but have you ever seen the movie Taken, with Liam Neeson? These people know where your daughter live at. And any psychopath that, we had one case with Sergeant Fiji where a guy flew from Las Vegas, he was 18 years old, flew here to Connor and tried to kidnap that girl. Remember that? Same thing here, right? So he says, yeah, okay, I get it. I give him a bunch of resources. You need to look at the Google parental controls. You need to look at these apps. Do this, do that, lock the phone down, et cetera, et cetera. Yep, thank you, I appreciate it, God bless you. And they leave. So come Monday morning, because this was on a Friday night, come Monday morning, I look at my voicemail, pick it up, listen to it, and I get a phone call from somebody again that saw what was going on. The girl was doing it again over the weekend. So I call Mom and Dad, and I say, what the heck? Do you know that she was doing this again? Because we got another complaint. Both Mom and Dad, because I was on speaker, proceeded to cuss me out and say it's my fault because I allowed these apps to be out there, and they were going to contact the governor, and they were going to put an end to all these applications being out there, right? And they hung up on me. So there's only so much you can do, I guess. Lead a horse to water, right? So what apps, or what do apps collect and have access to? We talked about that, and again, all these applications are messaging, video game consoles. You can text message, you can talk to each other, right? When we speak to your kids at school, one of the things we do, so we'll talk to them, and then the next year, it kind of actually made me feel really good. We were speaking to the 4th and 5th graders at one school. So the one year they were in 4th grade, we talked to them about the safety stuff, similar stuff, not so in-depth and heavy. And then the next year we went back there in 5th grade, right? So knowing that I had spoken to a lot of them the year before, I just started peppering them with questions and scenarios. And God bless, it made me feel good that a lot of them remembered exactly what we had talked about, right? I had read a study, it's several years old now, but basically the end of the study said, listen, your kids listen to you. They hear what you are saying. So please, and I have a 26-year-old son now. When I would work these cases, I wouldn't share the details with him, but he would know when I had a bad day, because I'd come home, I'd start yelling at him, and he'd roll his eyes and say, I hear you, I hear you. And I say, yeah, I know you hear me, because I know your ears work, but are you listening to me? So talk to your kids, please. You guys are the front lines of defense. If you talk to them every day and let them know that you're going to be there for them. Because what we tell your kids when we talk to them at school is, listen, we know you're going to screw up. We know you're going to make mistakes. But for the love of God, tell somebody. Tell a friend, tell a teacher, tell your parents, tell a police officer, because we are here to help you. Okay? Please do not be afraid. Don't do something and then make it worse. Because a lot of times in the cases that we work, the kid panics, right, because they're a kid. And then they try to fix it on their own and they make it worse. If they just would have stopped and went to their parent or went to a friend first, it would have been a lot easier to help fix. I didn't hit a lot on artificial intelligence because we could spend all night here about this, right? But we have seen this coming now. In fact, one of the child pornography cases, Sergeant Christian just had a case where we think it's AI generated to a degree. What scares me a lot about this is just, it takes about 7 seconds, or when AI first started coming out, it takes about 7 seconds of your voice that AI needs to take your voice sample and then have your voice say whatever it is. Now think about that too. I mean, this is being broadcast right now on Facebook. They can take my voice, anybody's voice up here. Has Major Ridgel issue Sergeant DG a command, and his, well, I need you to go arrest this person or do whatever. And where this ties in with your kids is now, you know, a lot of times with this video, no, I'm a kid. I'm not a 26-year-old creepy guy living in my parents' basement. I'm 13-year-old just like you. And see? And this is the video that is being generated by AI to help make your kids feel comfortable. So, you know, talk to your kids about that too, that everything that they see, just because they see a picture, just because they see a video doesn't mean it's real. And we had listened to a talk about a young girl that was kidnapped, and she was 13 years old, and she was tortured live on video. She was rescued, but basically what she was saying is what was touched upon here is that I'm in my home, I'm in my bedroom, I'm safe. You know, I got this phone here that's blocking me from the dangers of the outside world. But she was groomed, and she felt comfortable enough to go out and meet this friend of hers, right? So please talk to your kids. Okay. Now, one of the things I do, we do say to your children, is I ask them, is a car good or bad? Anybody want to take a guess? Guess at this one? Bad? Okay, no, that's good, because I get kids that say, car. You said both. And that's eventually what we get to. Well, they're both. They're good and bad. And I say that's exactly right. Because if I'm hungry, I can use a car to take me to the grocery store and get food, right? If I'm hurt, I can use that car to take me to the hospital. But it can be bad because I can use that car to run somebody over. Or I can use that car to rob a bank. It's not that the car is good or bad, it's how you use it. And it's the same thing we tell your kids. It's not the cell phone that's bad. It's not these apps that are bad. It's how you're using them. And just like I know you wouldn't give the keys to the car to your 14-year-old and say, have a good time, just bring it full when you drop it off, I hope you don't give a cell phone or a tablet or a computer to your children without talking to them first. They need to be taught how to use that electronic device, just like you're going to teach them how to drive a car. So again, I'm not trying to beat up on the parents, but you know, when we get a cell phone from a parent that says, I think my child did this or this, could you look in their phone? Okay, yeah, great, what's the PIN number? I don't know. Makes me fall over. All right, and because this is really heavy stuff, can anybody answer the last question? What did the grass feel when it woke up from winter? Oh, it's a bit crabby. Crab grass, you get it? All right, that's the end of my turn. Sergeant Christian.
So this is Mozart. He usually steals the show. I'm Sergeant Drew Christian. I'm in electronic crimes with Detective Bonner R. and Detective McGill. Just a little bit about Mo real quick. So Mozart was, we received him on a grant from Operation Underground Railroad. If you have seen the movie The Sound of Freedom, put out a couple of years ago, that is who produced that movie. I came back to the sheriff's office and told them about this dog that just blew my mind at a conference I was at. It was at the National Conference for Missing and Exploited Children. I come back and I got the support of all the command staff from Major Milson, Major Peace, and the sheriff to go forward with this. And we were blessed enough to get Mozart, who is, he just does remarkable things. Since we're on the Secret Service Task Force and the Kentucky State Police ICAC Task Force with Internet Crimes Against Children, Mozart and I get to travel. We were in Fairborn, Ohio, working a case assisting them with a search where they thought that the subject involved was hiding some child sexual abuse material on devices. They did a manual search of the residence and they located several items, and then I ran Mozart in, and in a jewelry box, hidden underneath a bunch of jewelry, was a small SD card. And we found out that on the SD card there were 4,000 CSAM images that nobody saw in their manual search. So he does a great job, and he's been a great addition to us. And unlike what Detective Bonahart said, he is a good therapy dog too. We just had a young lady in here today that we used Mozart in there to snuggle up, so she was able to open up a little bit more. So that's our goal too. So my job, I don't know everything. I've been around the block. I've been doing this a long time, and I had 2 kids. So I'm a parent just like you all. I can do the best of my ability to teach you how to protect your children in this digital age. But what I tell you today isn't necessarily going to be 100% true tomorrow. So as long as you understand that, and you keep up with your children and the tech that they have, and we'll do the best that we can to continue to update you all with that information. So like Detective Bonahart said, you are the front line of this. You need to know what's on your children's devices, what they're looking at, what they're doing. I'm going to provide you with a couple ways to help do that. Maybe some tips or tricks to make it easier if you catch them doing something they're not supposed to be doing, and don't take their phone, but at least monitor it a little better. So really you just need to know about the risks that are out there. We've talked about grooming, we've talked about sextortion, sexting. That's what sextortion was called originally, was sexting. They're just sending nudies back and forth. Cyberbullying is a really big issue right now. Social media on teenagers, that's how they're picking on each other anymore. They don't, slip notes to each other in class or tell this person at the lunch table and it makes it back around. They're just texting it or Snapchatting it or talking trash over that. Or as my son would say, roasting each other. They're sharing too much. We always talk about what's out there on the internet is too much. What you put on the internet is there forever. Now, good thing we have things like Take It Down that will do the best of its ability to find all these pictures and stuff. But if I post on Facebook today, 15 years from now, I'm going to be able to find that same post. It's there forever. And your children, or even you sometimes, can put too much information out there. How many people go on vacation and post pictures of them in Florida while they're there? Now you're just opening up people that know who you are, that can do some open source investigations and say, hey, these people aren't home, we can go break in their house. So that's when we get by sharing too much. And then the last is the online predators. It's what Detective Day talked about, Detective Harley talked about. It's people that have no other purpose in life than try to destroy your lives and your children's lives. They are out there, they are across the world, and they are here. We have several cases here, and we can talk all day about it. But some tips that will help you combat these issues is establishing rules at home with the devices. We're not saying that you need to go home and take your kid's phone immediately or take their tablet or remove all tech from the house. That's not what we're saying. But establish some rules. Don't have it at the dinner table. Don't let them have it right when they get home all the way till bedtime. Establish a curfew. Give some screen time. Monitor what programs they have. You don't want them taking their iPad to their bedroom for 4 hours and not knowing what they're doing. But if they're sitting on the computer over there in the dining room, you can keep an eye on it, kind of see what they're doing, stuff like that. Like Detective Bonahart said, engage with them, talk to them. 99% of the time, that's what we find when we do these device downloads is, my brother's not hanging out with me, my mom's not hanging out with me, something like that. So that's why they're talking to these predators, for example. So just spend some time with them, talk to them, and game with them. If they're real big gamers, take a break from work, take a break from what you're doing. Even if you have no idea what you're doing and they're going to kick your butt in whatever game you're playing, just play with them. That's all they're looking for. Chat IRL. Talk to them in real life. Don't text them, say, hey, it's time for dinner, come down. Just have communication with them. And don't take it. That's one of the big things that we see with, especially on the mental health side of it, is when children get in trouble, the parents' first thing they want to do is just take that device. We're going to take it, you're not having access to it. It's actually a worse effect on the kids than if you just limit it more. So instead of taking it, you're like, hey, you've lost the privileges for this, now you can only use it this amount of time when you get home from school, talk to your friends, and then the rest of the night's with us, whether we play board games or whatever it might be. Some safe devices for preteens. So we focus a lot on age specifics. You need to give your children age-specific content and age-specific devices. You shouldn't have a 9-year-old with a brand new iPhone 16 that can do everything in the world, realistically. Now, there's parental controls you can put on it, I understand that. But for preteens, which are kind of marketed for that 8-year-olds to the 12 to 13-year-olds thing. There's several devices out there. One that works very well is a Gizmo watch. It's specific to Verizon. It's very inexpensive, $15 a month, but it allows you to track them. It has a camera that you can talk to them on. You can call them, you can set their contacts, but the best part is they can't download any applications. So it's literally a GPS tracker where they can call. And you can keep an eye on them if your kid wants to ride the bike down to the neighbor's house, whatever that might be. The Bark Watch is very similar to the Gizmo. There's a couple differences that you can actually text and then it will relay back to you the text message that was sent, but again, it monitors the only accepted other contacts that you have. And then the Gab Watch. It doesn't do as much as the Gizmo as far as tracking, but it does allow certain applications to be downloaded too. So like MyFitnessPal and stuff like that. So for preteens, do they really need a cell phone? I know it's the cool thing to do. I know it's the best thing to do for them to have this giant tablet or cell phone, but realistically, you need to limit it to what is age appropriate. Some are a lot more mature than others, so we recommend these kind of watches. It allows you to communicate, it allows you to keep an eye on them, and in an emergency, they all three have an SOS button so they can hit it and contact you. There's also a school mode, so you can shut it down so they can't use it in school. And I believe that there was a bill just passed that is getting rid of technology use in schools during instructional periods, which is going to be super beneficial not only for educators, but for the students. This is for teens. Safe devices for teens. Now, you can give them that $1,000 smartphone as long as you're monitoring it, as long as you're having parental controls. Those are the important things, parental controls. You're the front line. If you want a device that's safe, that will alert you to things, and will keep you in touch, allow you to track them, all that good stuff that is very important for you to do, get a Bark phone or a Gab phone. Both are on multiple networks, but as they say, the one is tamper-proof, so they can't do anything to mess with it. And it does everything that watch does, just on a better level now. Now they have this phone, they can still be cool, but not download all the apps that get them in trouble. And then, realistically, what's wrong with a flip phone? I mean, you can still, I know you can text and take pictures and probably send bad pictures, but you don't have to worry about all the other shenanigans that go on out there and getting on the internet and stuff like that. So flip phones are cheap and expensive, and yes, they do still sell them if you didn't know that. Some parental control applications that you can help, that'll help you keep an eye on your kids if you do give them that kind of unrestricted device. Bark is very good. It uses AI to scan email, social media, anything that it might find harmful, and you can also set it up to do the geofencing application. So when they come home, it lets you know. When they're at a friend's house, it lets you know, stuff like that. It's actually recommended by PC Mac. It's a very good one. There is subscription-based, but it's one of the best-rated applications out there for parental monitoring. The other one is, and we have some detectives that actually use this. We find this as being one of the better. So, according to PC Mag, Custodio has nearly every feature that an anxious parent wants. That's how it's marketed. So, if you're worried about what your kids are doing, if they send an email, you get the email. If they send a text, you get the text. If they search something online, you see what they search. So it's out there. And some people say, some parents say, hey, I don't want to pay for that. Well, how much is it? Is there any amount that would help you from protecting your children? No. I mean, I pay all the money I can to make sure that what they're doing is safe. So those are the two top parental control applications that we found and that we wanted to share with you just to give you a better understanding of what you have the ability to do. And I think the last slide for me is, being involved. You need to know what they do. You need to it's hard to be in touch with a teenager. I understand it. It's hard to be in touch with even younger kids or older kids. But have that relationship there with them. At the same time, use the parental controls available on the phones they have. Apple does a very good job about locking down phones. You have the Family iCloud. You can do a lot of monitoring on that. The Google Family Link is extremely successful. We have issues with that when we're trying to do a phone download. It says, hey, there's parental controls turned on. And it won't even allow us, our friendly programs, to get into that. So we're having to call parents and say, hey, we need some help here. Can you unrestrict us so we can do this phone download? Everybody heard of YouTube Kids? Anybody's kids watch that? That's terrible. There's not just kid videos on there. There's all the annoying people on there, and then there's adults on there too that are hiding in between the shadows. So it's a lot safer for PBS kids. It's more educational. It's specific, content specific, and they actually get some learning out of it versus just learning how to act up. There's some, if they have to have that, hey, I want to communicate with my friends thing, there's options. You got Messenger Kids, Kids Who Kids, and Just Talk Kids. There's adult versions of all three of those apps, but those are more based for younger kids and teenagers, so they can still talk to only contacts you authorize. That's the best part about those three. So if it's not someone you know or that you want to allow them to talk to, they're not going to be able to talk to them. Roblox and Minecraft, super dangerous. A lot of cases that we find or we get into that are on a much deeper level, whether they're TikTok or Snapchat, they've started on Minecraft or Roblox. Roblox has really good parental controls though. It's age specific. So don't give your 8-year-old access to 16 and plus games. It's just about being smart with the technology you have. A couple other things, only approve the applications that you're okay with. Don't give them full realm to go to the App Store and download whatever they want. I have it set up to where if he tries to download anything, I have to get a notification to approve it, and I have to put the password in that he doesn't know. Makes me feel a lot better. I know he's not out there on Snapchat making videos. It's just another free way for you to keep track on your children. Keeping the devices updated. I'm sure there's at least one parent in here that doesn't update their devices because they don't like the way it makes changes on their phone, or it doesn't like the way they look, or, you know, I have to re-put in this password or that password. Updating your devices keeps them secure and keeps them, you know, I would say unhackable, but you don't want an old device and the longest application, and that's just a vulnerability for the bad guys to penetrate that device and then find those addresses and phone numbers that you didn't want anybody to know. Unless, I don't know if you see the commonsensemedia.org website. It's a very good website. What it does is it's a group of parents and a group of educators and a group of medical professionals that go through films and videos and applications and give you recommendations for certain applications. And it basically says, hey, YouTube Kids bad, PBS Kids good. And if it's provided applications for school, learning math, learning education versus Roblox or Minecraft, it does a good job of identifying those. Look that one up, that's very important. And now I'm going to hand it over to Detective Bates.
All right, I'm Justine Bates. I've been a detective for about 3 years now. I do a lot of the personal crimes cases, which Detective Harlow and Detective Day. There are actually 2 others who can't be here today, but that's what we mostly specialize in. So I wanted to shift gears and kind of talk about more of the investigative side, which I don't think a lot of people are familiar with, what goes on behind the scenes. So generally, we get reports from all kinds of sources. We get reports over the phone, we get reports from deputies, we get reports from other departments, national organizations. We have a lot of different agencies that make reports with us. So we will get the report, and it will be obviously assigned to one of the 5 of us. And we like to do just like a simple phone call. Just, hey, how are you? I'm the detective assigned to this case. This is what kind of a case will look like. No 2 cases are the same. We have, obviously you all know, no 2 cases are the same. So after we've made contact, we'll explain the situation. We'll most likely, if an interview is needed, we will schedule an interview with the Children's Advocacy Center. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but they will do a forensic interview of the child. It's on Houston Road. They're wonderful people, and just kind of get the basics of like, hey, what's going on? Why? What is this case? What do you know why you're here? That kind of stuff. And then it gets to like the nitty-gritty, the actual investigative part. So when we get cases that involve social media or, we have to write search warrants, we have to write subpoenas, and those take a long time. These cases, I don't think you all understand how long these cases take. They're upwards of months, years. If there's a cell phone, I think Sergeant Christian or Detective Vonderhart hit on this. If there's no way that we can get into the phone, it could take months, sometimes even years for us to get into your child's phone. If we don't know the passcode, if you don't know the passcode, they might have to take it up to the Secret Service and try to get access to that phone, and it takes a very, very long time. It takes a long time when we do get search warrant results from social media, such as Snapchat, Instagram. Those are hundreds of thousands of files that we have to go through, depending on obviously the case. If your child has been talking to someone for a long period of time, I had a case involving a Walton Verona student that another detective and I went through over 200,000 messages on Snapchat. Yeah, just based on the time frame. And yeah. So, obviously, electronic crimes will do their examination of the phone, and like I said, if they can't get into it, they have to send it off, and that takes a really, really long time. They are overloaded with cases right now. So they obviously priority, but it takes a long time to get into them. And then once we do figure out kind of what we have going on, if it's a misdemeanor case or a case involving a child victim and a child suspect, we will call the county attorney's office. And then if it's obviously a felony case with an adult suspect, we will call the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. And I think Sierra's going to talk about more of that stuff.
Yes, so my name's Sierra. I'm with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. I'm an assistant Commonwealth attorney. So if you and I are sitting down and talking, the unfortunate part is a felony's already been committed against your child. So we're starting the court process. And what that looks like is once the investigation is done, it doesn't come straight to me necessarily. It starts in district court, which handles felonies before they're indicted and misdemeanors. There will be probable cause hearings for that defendant, and I know it can be so frustrating. But there will be probable cause hearings for that defendant. That defendant will go through grand jury. The grand jury will then decide, is there enough evidence for this case to proceed into circuit court? If the answer is yes, and we try to do the best we can to make sure that answer is yes by the time we are there. It proceeds into circuit court. The circuit court has jurisdiction, and we have the case. So one of the most important things I think when we're thinking about the process is it takes a long time and it's frustrating. But not only the sheriff's office is here for you guys, for your children, so is our office. It's not just me that sits down with you or sits down with your kids. We have victims advocates. We also have GALs, which are guardian ad litems. And sometimes you hear that when we're talking about family court cases, but your child will get their own attorney who will be looking out for their best interest. I will try the case. That person will be there to support. That person will be there to talk to your kid. Because it can be hard for your kid to sit across the table, especially, you know, I'm a female prosecutor. Young men, you know, they get embarrassed. They don't want to talk about those things with a female. We have all kinds of things in place to make sure that we can put our best foot forward, we can put our best case forward, and we're supporting you, and we're making sure that your child is safe and feels safe during that process. So this is the fun part of the presentation. Jesse, you might need to stay up here because I'm using your microphone. Is the law. Super exciting stuff. But this is super important. So this statute, okay, has a really long name. We call it the electronic means statute, okay? This is important because, you know, we've talked about in this presentation your kids sending pictures or being extorted, something like that. Something really bad has happened to them. They've sent pictures, you know, they're scared, they're out there. But you don't have to wait as a parent for it to reach that point, okay? As soon as somebody says, send me a nude, that crime is complete. Your child does not have to respond for that to be a crime, and we will charge it, okay? So that can look like send me nudes, send me pictures, meet up with me, okay? And there's a lot of statute numbers here. These are all different sex acts, okay, that are outlined by the statute books. But anything, any solicitation, okay, and we're talking, it can be computer, but mostly cell phone, right? That's what our kids are communicating by. Anytime that's sent, that's a crime. Report it to the sheriff's office. don't let it get any further. Not only does that protect your kid, we're getting someone off the street who probably this isn't their first time trying to communicate with a child. Possession of matter portraying a sexual performance by a minor. We also, you'll hear this referred to as child pornography statute. Okay, if an adult has a picture of your kid, right, that's kind of a no-brainer, right? I've got to go to the sheriff's office. What you need to know as a parent, though, is there's no age limit and there's no minimum age, okay, for this. So we need to be talking about, to our boys, to our girls, we don't need to be sending this stuff. What happens if we receive this stuff, okay? They need to know it's okay that I got this picture on my phone, I can talk to you about it, all right? Distribution itself, that is a horse of a different breed. So, and we see this happening more and more. I get a picture of my girlfriend or boyfriend, right, I'm in the 7th grade, and that's all fine and dandy, but now we're broke up and I'm mad. So I'm sending that picture to my friends are sending that picture. It happens, and it's happening more and more often. Distribution, whether your child is a minor or not, is a serious thing. So we need to be talking to them about, this is a crime even if you're a minor, and 2, if you get this sent to you by your friend, you can come to me, okay? Because they want to be cool, they want to fit in, and it can be scary too, right? Our middle schoolers are just now getting into this age where this stuff, they're dealing with this stuff for the first time. So talk to them that they can come to you, you can work with the sheriff's office, okay? Because not only are we protecting our kids from being charged, okay, from being extorted, we are protecting the kid who they're getting the picture of. And it's not up here, but there was what we call, and we've talked about it a little bit, sextortion. There is a new crime coming for that as well, and that's going to be on the books come June or July. And what that means is they don't have to send this picture or be subject to the distribution. If they're threatening to send that picture, that's a crime too, and that's going to be punished separately as well. So, you know, the legislature is evolving. It's, you know, the law moves slow, but we're getting there. These are the things that are on the books now that we need to be talking to our children about.
Hi, I am Chelsea Chorley, and I'm one of the 3 police social workers here at the Sheriff's Department. So, when our detectives decided to do this presentation, they asked us to assist with just kind of giving some information on the mental health aspect of all of this. So we wanted to just do like a real brief overview on child development, mental health concerns, and some ways, additional ways that you guys might be able to kind of combat these challenges. My portion, I wanted to discuss the why element. So I'm a person that wants to know why something's happening, or as my supervisors can attest to, sometimes when I'm being told not to do something, I also want to know why. So we can stand up here and tell you all night about how you shouldn't let your kids use technology excessively, and you're probably thinking, well, yeah, how am I going to do that? But maybe kind of explaining some of the psychology behind it might help you understand. So we've all heard of all the concerns here. You know, too much screen time can lead to physical concerns, poor posture, obesity, you know, staying up late on video games and texting leads to lack of sleep. But what I kind of want to focus on just for the next couple of minutes was specifically the psychological concerns. So, what is dopamine? Anybody heard of dopamine? We know. So, it's a neurotransmitter or chemical messenger, and basically it just goes back and forth in your brain amongst your different nerve cells, and it provides that feel-good feeling. So, what is giving us the dopamine? A lot of things, right? So, food, shopping, gambling, exercise, music, sex, caffeine, and what we're highlighting tonight, obviously, is the technology, social media, video games, give us that dopamine hit. When we do that, it's going to activate this reward system. And so whenever we do something, any action that gives us that reward, like watching a TikTok or getting a like on your social media status, it releases that dopamine. and it makes us want to do that again. It reinforces that behavior, so we start getting into this kind of addictive loop. So like anything, when this is done in moderation, it's a perfectly natural, healthy process. But when it's done excessively, that's when it can be problematic. So real quick, particularly important because kids' brains are still developing, right? And in particular, their prefrontal cortex is not established yet. And kids' brains are extremely malleable. We're constantly adapting and rewiring things based on their experiences. That's why they say kids are like sponges. They just soak up all this information. So this is really good for learning, but it makes them also vulnerable. The reason I bring up the prefrontal cortex is it's basically the executive center of the brain. It handles everything like executive function, your personality, your social behavior, and then really plays the role in decision-making, impulse control, memory, and emotional regulation. The irony of this is that our prefrontal cortex is one of the last things to fully develop, typically about 25 years old. My point to all this is that what happens when we have this young brain that's learning all these things and we just keep hitting that button over and over again? We're hitting that reward and we're flooding the brain with these constant dopamine hits. What that does is it starts desensitizing or numbing these receptors, right? So it makes it harder and harder every time we do it. It makes you want it more. So when they start craving these quick, easy rewards, they want this instant gratification. So it makes sense that we're seeing kids that are less interested in things like reading or complex tasks that take longer or require delayed gratification. Or why when parents attempt to take away the beloved technology, kids often have a strong negative response to it. We kind of made this perfect storm scenario of this underdeveloped prefrontal cortex that's used to this constant stream of dopamine. And then when it's taken away, they're not able to regulate those emotions or control those impulses in the same way that an adult can. So just like Sergeant Christian mentioned before, just the awareness from parents of the risks associated, obviously with the criminal concerns, but just on their development and what that's doing as kids grow up. It's just something to be aware of.
Hi, I'm Megan. I want to talk specifically about social media effects on teens. I know, especially in Boone County, a lot of the things that have been happening have been revolving around the teenage youth. So I kind of want to touch on that. So specifically with social media, evidence has shown an increase in mental distress, self-interest behaviors, and suicidality among youth, and it can be linked back to smartphones and social media. So there's a lot of negative effects that come into mind when you think about social media with teens, like cyberbullying, rumors, disrupting sleep schedules. I can't tell you how many times I hear that, oh, my son's up until 12:30, 1 a.m. on their phone. They're not sleeping, they don't want to go to school, so that could definitely throw some balance off. The online predators that they talked about. Another one is unrealistic expectations. A lot of youth have photo editing apps on their phone. They're altering their images. They're seeing all of these people posting their perfect life online. They're thinking that that's the life they should have. Their life doesn't match that, so how can they make that happen? Another reason that that's kind of a negative is it can lead to a lot of eating disorders, unrealistic views of the world, things like that. Misinformation. So having a phone is great. You can Google anything. But again, everything online as adults, we're aware, certain things are going to say certain things, and you're going to find what's tailored to your own specific view. So kids could be getting information online that's not technically accurate. So just making sure you're watching what they're looking at, and if they're wanting to ask a question, having them ask you instead of, the random people online to get the actual answer. And then censored content. A lot of people are posting online, especially teens, videos of them cutting themselves, harming themselves. There's no graphic warning content. They're just scrolling through their feed and there it is. And it's people that are commenting, they're praising it, they're saying, good job. They're just convincing them to continue doing it. It's never, hey, you should get help. It's always looked at in a positive positive light, and kids are just seeing it constantly. Studies show that ages 12 to 15, especially in the US, if the kids are spending more than 3 hours a day on social media, it's linked to higher risk of mental health concerns. And then obviously I think we all know that the teenage brain, like Chelsea said, it's common that you make a decision or you act before you're thinking. So kids are going to be posting things online when they're angry, upset, and they might regret it later. And like I think we've been told many times, the internet is forever. And those things are out there. Also, teens who are posting content, they're more likely to share sexual photos or more personal, in-depth information. And when you're posting things, like people aren't realizing, hey, like I'm tagging this location, because they're like, oh, I just want to show this restaurant I'm at. But again, predators, they're seeing where they're going, they're tracking them, they're keeping these things in mind. It makes it easier for them to be accessible. Also, with this, so the CDC reports that suicide rates in kids aged 10 to 24 in the US has increased by 57% between 2007 and 2018. And this follows the launch of several social media platforms, specifically Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. And then youth communicate thoughts of suicide and self-harm behaviors online, like I said, posting pictures of self-injurious behaviors, depicting cutting on social media, again, no graphic content warning, and getting positive feedback. So a lot of people are questioning why this is happening now. Some people think that, oh, it's just mental health is talked about more, so that's why we're hearing about it more. But a lot of researchers, again, are saying that it's because the digital media use, increased academic pressure, limited access to mental health care, health risk behaviors like alcohol or drug use, as well as gun violence. And then the last little statistic I have for you guys is that 40% of high school students, as reported by the CDC, report having increased feelings of sadness or hopelessness, and 44% of those high school students report having thought of creating a suicide plan. So it's important to talk to your teens about it, even if you think that it would never be them. Just letting them know that you're there, you're willing to listen, you're open, things like that. Because it can be a scary thing for them to want to talk about, and then that makes them want to go online, and that's just, again, the perfect cycle.
Hi, I'm Jared Owens. I'm another police social worker. I just put a couple things on here just to kind of think about ways that you can try and promote a healthy media usage in the home. So modeling, obviously, if you're on your phone all the time, they're going to mimic that behavior. So just kind of try and be aware of how much you're on your phone in front of them or just in general. Obviously, trying to have an open discussion about all these apps, what apps they have, why they have them, what the purpose is, those kind of things. And like they had said earlier, contemplate trying to find alternatives to just immediately taking the phone, if there's ways to limit it, instead of just taking the entire thing, if you can turn off certain apps or restrictions. And just something to think about is instead of giving them a video game, maybe talking with them about something they want to do outside, or any events like that that can kind of give them a little bit more time away from the electronics. Again, setting more like specific days and times away. If no phones at family dinner, watching a movie. I know I'm always on my phone watching a movie, so set those aside. Use any of the digital tools that they mentioned earlier to kind of restrict what they are on. Obviously, if you feel like they're going to use a whole bunch of stuff. And then there's things online that you can use, like utilizing a personal media plan. I know that was just an example down there at the bottom, but there's a bunch of those where you guys can come up with a plan together, who needs to do what restrictions each person needs to do, various ages, and then sign that together, and that gives you kind of both accountability, where mom and dad are saying, I'm going to do this, but you have to do it as well. So those are just some things to think about.
We're going to do everything in our power for you guys. I mean, we treat every case like it would be our own kids, right? And if you have a concern that something's going on, even though it's not going to possibly require like a full forensic exam or anything like that, but you just have concerns or you need answers about it, if you want to bring it up, email this, or a lot of you have my email from me sending it out. Feel free to shoot us an email. we'll schedule a time where you can come up for a little bit and we can sit down and go through the phone with you to make sure there's nothing on it specifically that just throwing a red flag to us and try to help you out the best that we can.
So one of the things, and not every question is going to be the same. One thing, and not every case is going to be the same. One thing is, if you guys have questions, obviously Sergeant Christian just mentioned, we can answer those. We do, not to single you out, but you're willing to share, and I thank you for that. But we do still have to have a reason to search some of these things, okay? A lot of times that is going to require us saying, okay, do you believe a crime was committed? Inappropriate conversations, absolutely. We can all agree inappropriate conversations and communications are taking place. But when it comes to expectations of privacy and things like that, we do still have to have a right to get into that phone. And unfortunately, a lot of times, when it comes to inappropriate, that's not necessarily enough. If you think there's a crime and your son has been exploited, whether it's somebody did ask him for a photo of himself, or whether somebody did make a threat to him, or asked him for money for any sort of favor, that's where these guys shine. Because that's where they can track down, okay, what's the username of the person that asked this? And especially with videos and photos, there's a location that's being sent to, whether it's a username, an IP address, whatever the case may be. Unfortunately, as far as just simple conversations, as Sergeant Christian mentioned, there's no data that is stored there because it's just you and I talking. Our conversation is being recorded by my phone on Facebook right now. But a lot of these, you're not going to get that voice-to-voice talk data. But absolutely, you bring up a great point that the gaming systems are just as dangerous as these phones that we all have. But one of the things that we will also always work with you with is if you do just have a concern and you may walk into the door and say, I don't know if this is just inappropriate or I don't know if my kid is being victimized. We will walk you through that. We have somebody at all times, when that front door is open, we have a detective that is assigned to anybody that walks in that door and wants a case, we take it, okay? So you will not be turned away as long as those front doors are open. You will not be turned away from at least having a conversation about, do I have anything here? And we're happy to have that conversation. We're happy to start that conversation. Some of the schools reach out to us. Unfortunately, we can't be everywhere all at once. So we do rely on the request. We may not be able to fulfill every request. It has to do with, okay, can we fit this into our schedule? So I'm not saying we're going to go talk to every school. But we're happy to hear the request if it fits the criteria. We also, as I mentioned, this was the first time we decided to do this. We put about a month worth of planning into this, had no idea what to expect when we started it, okay? Thank you guys for helping us expand upon this. And I think you hit the nail on the head. What do we do in the future? My visions, and I think we talked about this briefly, is if we can do this, whether it's at the start or the end of every school year, every other school year, something along those lines, because at the end of every school year, they're coming home to you guys all day now. They're not in school. And vice versa, at the beginning of every school year, they're now out of your eyesight almost all day. So we're going to roundtable it. We're happy to hear any suggestions or anything through the email address posted here. We're happy, I'll be reviewing some of the comments through Facebook. We have pretty much an open door policy when it comes to asking questions through the website behind me, or the email address behind me. If you guys have suggestions, this is not set in stone. We're here, as I mentioned earlier. We work together every day, but we all need to work together in this going forward.
So we know the trends, we know what's going on, but that doesn't mean that what we're teaching you today is going to be true tomorrow, next week, or next year. So we can't reiterate enough that it's truly, this is a partnership, like you said. The parents, you're the frontline investigators. You need to do the best of your ability to use your parental controls, to use your own investigative resources. And if you get lost or you get confused, we are here to help.
That crime@boonecountyky.org is where we would ask if you have any questions that you think about on the way home. Tomorrow you talk to your kids, something comes up. That is a website, or I'm sorry, an email that you can report crimes to. However, for the purpose of this presentation, that is also an email that we're asking you to use to ask your questions because it's received by multiple people within the agency. So a lot of eyes will see those questions from the different divisions. So don't let the handle fool you. It's not just exclusively to report crimes, although you can do that. It's also for this presentation to follow up and ask any question that you may have. They're a really good group that cares deeply about their profession. We're proud of them. We're very